AITA for always turning down hangouts with my friends when they ask to bring their kids. I have a friend group of 7 women from uni. I'm the only one that's child-free. But 1 is childless. 2 are pregnant with their first and 3 have kids. We as a group rarely meet up. I've seen all of them maybe twice in the last year. And we all live in the same city. Every time someone asks to meet up and we finally find a date, everyone is available. One of the moms always asks if they can bring their child or children. It's usually one of 2 moms, as the third actually wants to have a kid-free evening. And before anyone else can answer, the other mom says yes. All 3 moms have husbands who can watch their kids. Most of them also have both sets of grandparents who are involved. But somehow they never manage to find someone who can babysit, as they call it. So at this point I've stopped answering until they've set a time and place. Someone has asked about kids, and I say I can't make it. I hang out with them one-on-one, or in smaller groups instead. Well, a few days ago we agreed to finally meet up. No one had asked about kids and we were having a barbecue and wine night. Who shows up with their 8-year-old? Yep. One of the moms. I clearly didn't hide my annoyance and one of the girls asked me why. I just waved it off and 30 minutes later I excused myself and left. Said I didn't feel well. In those 30 minutes we hadn't had any adult talk. We were just entertaining the kid. I would rather go home. THSN did this for another 34 hours. After I left, I think they realized this was a pattern and I got text from most of the girls in the group. Some calling me an asshole. Others just saying they were annoyed with me for leaving. While the third mom having my back. And asked to meet up later that week to have a proper wine night. I don't hate kids at all. I work with them every day and don't want to spend my time off relaxing with friend. Having to entertain other people's kids again. AITA? NTA wine night with friends from college pretty definitely means no children. InTA, but just tell them. I am not available for kid playdates but am happy to spend adult time with you guys. You aren't demanding they not get together without the kids. You just don't go. NTA. It's a barbecue and wine night. It's silly to bring your kid to that. Why don't you? Or better yet, the mom that wants a girls' night without kids, directly ask that of the group? That way, they can't accuse you of hating kids or something weird because a mom wants a break. Haha. NTA. I love kids and I am happy to spend time with my friends' kids. But not when we're going out with friends as a group that was not meant to include kids. As you said, when there's even 1 child around, usually that really throws off the tone. It's just different. Not necessarily bad, but not what is expected when you get together with friends when it's meant to be just adults. And it's okay for you to decide that is not how you'd like to spend your time. And it's not okay for your friends to decide for you about how you're going to spend your time. NTA. But you're being passive-aggressive. I understand not wanting to be around kids in your free time. But you need to establish early on in the planning process that it's just a gal's night. Or something to that effect. You can't assume the others will automatically think of or want to arrange childcare when one of you suggests hanging out, and then get mad when they don't. Info. Have you clearly communicated you want adult-only hangouts? Nah, Resh. Waffling back and forth here. I get the desire to hang out without kids and it's a valid one. The reality is also that you're in a group where most of the people are or will be moms. So the idea that it's ever going to be easy to make plans where everyone leaves their kids at home is kind of a pipe dream. Yeah. Not to mention it's kind of presumptuous to assume they could leave their kids at home but actively choose not to. It's more charitable to believe that if someone is asking to bring their kid along, It's for a reason other than trying to be a pain. If you sometimes agreed to hang out when kids were present, but they refused to ever have a girls' night without kids, I'd be saying they are being the assholes here. Because you're trying to meet them in the middle and they refused. But the fact is you're not really meeting them in the middle either. You actively find an excuse not to join them every time kids are present, and you didn't even stay at this recent hangout for more than half an hour before going home. Plus, it doesn't sound like you've ever voiced a preference for any particular outing to not include kids, or explained why you would like to not include kids. But you're getting resentful that they're bringing their kids thinking it's fine? That's not exactly fair. IDK. Again, it's not wrong at all to want some child-free outings. But I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary animosity here. NTA. Some parents do this. They just either use their kids as an excuse why they can't do something, or will bring them. But if you don't want to see them only around kids, that is totally fair. Maybe if they want to hang out, they'll make other arrangements for the kids. IDK. Why people are so afraid to talk about these things. Talk to your friends. You don't need to be rude or anything. Hey, I work with kids all the time, and when we get together I am just really looking for a break. Also, you assume they have tons of babysitting at their fingertips, but you never really know what's going on in someone's life. Appearances mean little to nothing. Maybe they don't trust their family members. This is all info that could be divulged if you all talked like adults. NTA. Wine and barbecue with the girls turned into let's all babysit Susie? Hell no. NTA. I was kind of in an mood on this one until I thought about it more. There should be an opportunity for some adults-only time. But the reality is that this will be impossible more than very occasionally. Especially when young kids are involved. If 5 of the 7 women in this group have young kids, it's highly unlikely that all 5 of them will be able to find someone to watch their kids on the same night, even if their husbands are great about that sort of thing. It's just not that easy to align 5 separate households without a lot of warning. It is very common for friends to drift apart when all the couples aren't having kids. This may be what you're looking at. Unfortunately, it's not your fault, nor is it theirs. But it is a pretty common thing. You have your choices. So do they. Whenever something doesn't feel right to us, we react. Perfectly normal reaction. If you don't like the ambiance, then you are within full rights to get up and leave. NTA. NTA. The "I don't want to hang out with your kids around" is a tough conversation to have with the types of parents that always want their kids with them. The norm for your group seems to be to ask if kids are okay when planning these events. Nobody asked this time, so it's fair of you to assume it wasn't a kid hangout. At the end of the day, you are a group of college friends, not a mommy group. It's unfair for every group meetup to end up being about the kids. I hang out with them one-on-one, or in smaller groups instead. This became my norm in my late 20s too because of this below. In those 30 minutes we hadn't had any adult talk. We were just entertaining the kid. I would rather go home than do this for another 34 hours. Now that I am in my 40s, all the kids are older, and though I often attend events with my friends, their spouses, and kids, at least we can have some meaningful tone conversation. I quite enjoy talking to the teen, young adult, kids, now too. NTA. But maybe tell them up front about where you stand so that it's clear with everyone and no one needs to get upset by it. You're just starting to have less and less in common with your friend group, and your expectations are becoming unrealistic as far as what hangouts with large groups of friends becoming new moms will look like. It's not college anymore. At least one of them is not going to be able to get a babysitter most of the time. And that's ignoring that the moms are probably deliberately bringing their kids so they can socialize with each other. That's in your feelings about it are all NaH territory. But YTA for being uncommunicative and passive-aggressive about it. ETA here for how things went down. You should have handled the situation better. The others in the friend group should have reached out to you instead of attacking you. Is it hard to have adult conversations? Yes. But you gotta do it. Clearly say if you want a child-free group hangout. Instead of letting others in the group take charge of meeting up, do it yourself and be clear on the expectations of the night on what you will all do. But I also question if you hang out with them one-on-one or in smaller groups. I'm assuming this sometimes includes the moms without their children? Then why is it such a big deal if one meet up they bring a child along? I get both sides. Sometimes you want a child-free night and sometimes moms want to bring their kids along. I feel like actual friends would be able to find some compromise and figure something out. The other side is, if you don't hang out with the moms one-on-one or in smaller groups cause of the kid stuff, then why even consider them friends at this point? You guys clearly have drifted apart and have different priorities. That's fine and part of growing up. Just accept it instead of being passive-aggressive towards each other over if kids can be in the area or not. I don't hate kids at all. I work with them every day and don't want to spend my time off relaxing with friend, having to entertain other people's kids again. I thought this was a key point to the story that most commenters glossed over. Someone who works with kids every day probably prioritizes their adult interaction time. And when you're looking forward to that, and it doesn't materialize, that can be really disappointing. NTA. Nah. It sounds like your friend circle is naturally fracturing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It is quite natural for young parents to want to socialize with their children in tow when their friendship circle consists of other parents in the same situation. It's also a nice way for their children to mix with others. Tell your friends you want to hang out without kids. The parents here bemoaning losing friends while feeling entitled to bring their kids everywhere. The consequence of always bringing your kids is other adults are not required to want to give up their socializing time to joint babysitting with you. The selfish mindset that all your friends have to be cool with your kid is ridiculous, and your former friends obviously thought so too.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.